News from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind...
Yeah, I'm getting those postcards now about free lunches and...
Oh, yeah.
and bladder control. like, who is this?
The time is 10 a.m.
And good morning. Thank you for tuning into the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. My name is Dory, and I'm here with Tony, and we invite you to listen to our broadcasts both live and on demand. Our live sessions are available on the Blind Community Thrift Store YouTube channel Monday through Friday between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. each week. Additionally, you can access on-demand content through the Audio Reader Network, which offers a wide range of audio materials for the visually impaired community. To explore content from the Audio Reader Network, visit www.reader.ku.edu. The site provides details about accessing content via Amazon Alexa, Audio Reader Network, mobile app, and information on receiving a radio to listen to the broadcast by KSMU Radio. All broadcasts are played over KSMU subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio.
Good morning. This morning, Marta Meets with the Springfield News-Leader tells us how a grassroots group is connecting with Greene County ICE detainees. While Greene County has not been the backdrop of mass immigration sweeps seen elsewhere in the country, one local grassroots volunteer group is working to ensure those detained and held in the local jail for immigrations and customs enforcement have ways to connect with resources and loved ones and feel a little less alone. Abide in Love is one of several grassroots groups formed in Greene County since President Donald Trump took office and began enacting the mass deportation of undocumented immigrants promised during his campaign. While some groups seek to protest, advocate, and change policy, Abide and Love aims simply to be a connection to the outside world for those held in jail for ICE. The Greene County Sheriff's Office has had a long-standing agreement to house federal inmates at the Greene County Jail. In October 2024, this agreement was adjusted to also include ICE detainees. The GCSO receives a $100 per diem for each federal inmate. The jail has set aside a maximum 375 beds for federal detainees, roughly a third of the jail's total bed count, according to the agreement. As of 11:30 a.m. Friday, February 6th, 255 people were being held at the Greene County Jail for ICE, per GCSO Public Information Officer Jonah Beatles. A small group of people came together in the fall to form the local chapter of Abide in Love, which originally started in Rolla. The organization has grown to form a network of clergy who meet with detainees, along with pen pal volunteers who make contact with those held in the jail to provide resources. Board President of Abide in Love, Ben Baranek, said the group is a way for local residents to track what goes on in the tax-funded jail and to help connect those held in the jail with legal help and loved ones. We're all about connections, and we recognize that these people, they're probably going through perhaps one of the most difficult experiences of their lives, and they're doing it in our community, he said. So whilst they're here, we're wanting to try to make what is a miserable experience slightly less miserable. Part of the work for the new group is to track the number of people held for ICE at the Greene County Jail, if any criminal charges are associated with the detention, and how long detainees remain at the jail. According to Baranek and Abide in Love's tracking data, an ICE detainee on average remains in Greene County Jail for about 44 days, though the average has dropped to about 25 days since early October. Of more than 2,100 total ICE detainees that have been held at the jail, fewer than 4% had had any charges filed against them, according to Baranek. So, for however long those people are here, whether it's a night or whether it's many nights, those people are kind of residents of our county. They become our neighbors, he said. We know fractions and tiny elements of these people's lives, but each one of these people has a story, has a background, has a history, and has a future. We're just trying to acknowledge that, these are human beings. These are our neighbors for the time being, and they matter. Abide in Love works with jail staff to find the most meaningful ways to support those staying in the jail due to ICE holds. Baranek said there are no sides or good or bad team. Rather, Abide in Love works to support all his neighbors in the community. Beatles said the jail largely serves as a housing facility where ICE detainees simply pass through, so the GCSO does not wish ill on any of those held there and acknowledges the need for support. Following conversations with jail staff, Baranek said the group began to organize donation drives for Spanish paperback books. So far, Abide in Love has gathered about 178 books, he said. New or gently used books, and without writing in them, are still being collected at Bookmarks, the Royal, and some local churches. Jail staff also indicated there was a need for more clergy, prompting the group to organize a network of pastors and other religious leaders to be available to meet with detainees. Beatles said the sheriff's office and jail have in-house chaplains who also provide support for staff and inmates alike, and additional clergy brought in by Abide in Love can provide additional support, guidance, and listening ears for ICE detainees on their own journeys. Reverend Silas Engstrom of St. James Episcopal Church leads Abide in Love's clergy network and serves as vice president of the organization's board. He said currently 4 ministerial folks and 3 interpreters volunteer their time to visit with those detained at the jail, with 1 more clergy member and interpreter joining soon. The group is ecumenical, representing various denominations. Engstrom was part of the original small group that founded the local chapter. He said he felt moved to make this the outreach to humanize the people that were being villainized. At the same time, he said he wishes there was no need for this effort to begin with. I feel like it's something that I have to do because this is what Jesus would have done, Engstrom said. Doing clergy visits is a way for us to see the individual, to make a connection to the individual as a person, and for me that's been very, very powerful. Connections with clergy are among the most vital, as the jail only allows 2 types of in-person visits, ministerial and attorney visitations. Engstrom said clergy have met with dozens of people detained for ICE in Greene County Jail through the 20-minute weekly visits each inmate is permitted. These visits are not about preaching or proselytizing, he said, but rather a time for those detained to be heard and supported spiritually. Engstrom said prayer is among the most common requests. I think on a spiritual level, there's a power in prayer that makes people feel connected to God, which brings strength and harmony, he said. And on the humanitarian level, it also connects you to people you know. I mean, people praying for you and caring about you, taking the time to visit you, asking, what do you need? How are things going? Is there anything we can do to help? I mean, just that in and of itself can bring a sense of strength and peace to a time that's very lonely, very scary. As Abide in Love continues to grow, Engstrom hopes the clergy network can expand to include leaders from a wider variety of faith backgrounds and practices. Eventually, he said he would like to be able to serve the jail on a more regular basis, perhaps through a worship service or Bible study group. Beyond visits from clergy or attorneys, the rest of the contact with those inside the jail takes place virtually, either through text or video calls. Engstrom has been able to help connect detainees with loved ones through his visits, but that's also where the other part of Abide in Love's work comes in. The group also includes a volunteer group of pen pals, people who text those detained at the jail and help for ICE through the jail's text system. This is the first touch point Abide in Love has with detainees. It's a way to let them know they are there and what resources, including clergy visits, are available to them. The ICE website lists 4 jails across Missouri as detention facilities for the department's detainees, which means those detained may land several counties away from home, making it harder for their families to find them. Every detainee, they're going to have connections in their lives that are incredibly meaningful to them, Baranek said. There's a bunch of loved ones in these people's lives who all of a sudden they're just like separated from. He said through texting, Abide in Love can help track down loved ones both stateside and elsewhere, connect them with legal services, and help fund commissary needs like long-sleeve shirts. He said the group currently has roughly 30 pen pals. Those wanting to volunteer undergo a training to familiarize themselves with communication platforms. Maddie Bridges is one of those pen pals. After joining the effort in late November, she has chatted with 3 women held in detention. There were common threads among those conversations: requests for legal aid, concern about the uncertainty of the next steps, and worries for the women's families. Bridges said beyond being surprised about the lack of criminal record for the vast majority of those detained, and the fact that those held for ICE were not held separately from other detainees in jail charged for violent crimes, she said she was astonished by the gratitude women had expressed for the work Abide in Love was doing. The fact that they are in prison at this time, going away from their home, going away from their families most likely, and the immense appreciation they have for the work Abide in Love is doing is really quite humbling, because if they wanted to, they could be extremely bitter and angry, and I've only experienced kindness and gratitude and grace for all of the people that are involved in the situation, she said. For Bridges, the decision to volunteer with Abide in Love and serve those detained by ICE in a way that emphasizes peacefulness was a personal one. She learned of the work the group was doing through a colleague. As a 6th grade teacher in Branson, her classroom includes English learners whose lives have been impacted by the current political environment and fear. To me, it's really protecting my students and being there for this community that I love and that I cherish, Bridges said. Especially as, a person who has the privilege to not have my immigration status questioned, I have a duty to help in any way that I can. And being a pen pal is just a small way, but an impactful way to make those who are experiencing such a scary and tumultuous time in their life feel seen and heard and helped. With increased national attention on immigration enforcement, Baranek said he has seen an increased response from the community interested in finding ways to help those detained by ICE locally, as attendance at the group's trainings has grown tenfold. However, how much the group is able to do is limited by funding. Each text message costs 25 cents with a minimum $10 deposit and a $3 transaction fee, adding up to thousands of dollars in order to connect with every person detained in the jail for ICE. This need was eased by the generosity of local residents who gifted a $10,000 matching grant to Abide in Love. With their capacity currently limited, Baranek said they are prioritizing connecting with women and those who come from the local region first. For now, he said they can try to reach a third of those detainees held for ICE. People in Springfield are known for being neighborly. They're known for caring about their friends, Baranek said. We're so grateful for, the fact that we have good neighbors here in Springfield. And we see it in many ways, and we're seeing it in this way as well.
And from the Springfield News-Leader, an article by Marta Mees, Council sends message to Jefferson City on referendum and local control. Springfield elected leaders sent a formal message to Jefferson City letting legislators know any changes to the city's referendum process ought to be handled in by Queen City voters. In a 7-1 vote on Monday, February 9th, Springfield City Council passed a resolution affirming the city's support for retaining local control and having Springfield residents decide if any changes should be made to the process outlined in the city charter. The resolution came as a result of, but did not explicitly call out, House Bill 2847, filed in Jefferson City earlier this year. The proposal, introduced by Representative Jeff Knight from Lebanon, would change a section of state law to prohibit zoning changes from being challenged or contested by a referendum, initiative, or vote of the city's residents. The bill language is crafted to specifically target Springfield and would not affect other Missouri cities with similar provisions. The bill is not yet scheduled to appear before a committee. And what follows is a picture of the Missouri State Capitol building in Jeff City. The resolution was proposed by Councilman Brandon Jensen a week after he criticized Springfield Area Chamber of Commerce President Matt Morrow for the chamber's involvement with the bill, which was drafted without notice to city officials. The councilman was particularly wary of the negative impact the proposed bill would have on the outcome of the April 7th election, in which the city will ask voters to weigh in on an increase to the lodging tax to fund a new convention center for the second time. Mayor Jeff Schrag and Councilman Craig Hosmer joined as sponsors of Jensen's resolution. The resolution outlines the city's commitment to retain local control and gather community input on the future of the city charter, which acts as the city's constitution, and calls on the Missouri General Assembly to continue its tradition of supporting local governments. The resolution includes a directive that the city clerk shall distribute a copy of the document to each member of the Southwest Missouri delegation of the Missouri General Assembly. Local control has been among this council's legislative priorities for several years. Jensen said he wanted the resolution to make note specifically of Knight's bill, but with Schrag's input decided the current language was more tactfully crafted to minimize any ramifications and acrimony from state legislature for taking such a stance. He noted that HB 2847 is only the most recent example of attacks on local control occurring in Jefferson City. The last time Springfieldians directly weighed in on the referendum portion of the charter was in 1994, when local voters overwhelmingly voted to retain the ability to use the referendum process for zoning issues. The resolution acknowledges this and ties the future of the city and its charter with the Forward SGF's comprehensive plan, which sets out plans for the city for 20 years to come and involved rigorous public input. Quote, the city desires to obtain clarity from the citizens of Springfield as to the appropriate role of the local referendum in the implementation of Forward Springfield and related comprehensive city code update, the resolution stated. The next headline reads, Council members call for more civic discourse. Councilman Derek Lee, the only council member to vote in opposition to the resolution, said the call for additional input from citizens was pointless. While noting that he does not support HB 2847, he said the resolution and ongoing conversations about the topic blow it out of proportion. Lee also said that with community stakeholder stances already known, further discussion, as the resolution calls for, would not be effective and only lead to more bickering. Councilman Abe McGull was absent from Monday's meeting. Quote, there are many pieces of legislation that happen that never get voted on, never get discussed. That's probably the way this is going to be, Lee said. At the end of whatever discussion or conversation we have, I can tell you what it's going to be. The developers are going to want to have more certainty, and the neighborhood leaders and our voters are going to want to keep it. I don't see any scenario where our voters are going to vote away their ability to vote. And what follows is a couple members of the Springfield City Council meeting in June of last year. Ahead of council's vote, 4 residents spoke in support of the resolution. Melanie Bach, president of the Galloway Village Neighborhood Association, among the speakers. She was the leader of the neighborhood when it successfully challenged a development and brought it to the ballot box in 2022. That was the only time in recent history that the referendum process has been successfully used in a zoning case. Quote, I think to an extent, even when our issue came up, it maybe spurred some other neighborhoods to grow into creation. And I think that overall neighborhood health is better now than it was before, Bach said. And maybe we can thank the referendum process for that. I'd like to think so. Much of the council discussion in the February 9th meeting revolved around the need for civic discourse and meaningful discussion on the topic locally. Several criticisms were levied against the chapter of the chamber for being behind the piece of legislation. Morrow told council February 2nd the chamber actively advocates for certain issues but does not demand anything of any legislator. Councilman Bruce Habib Yazid said the tactic of getting a non-local representative to file legislation specific to Springfield was, quote, bad policy, while Hosmer said the approach was unusual at best. Hosmer was the most outwardly critical of the chamber, who he said believes that they run the city, noting that the charter, including the referendum, is a part of democracy. Councilwoman Callie Carroll, meanwhile, said the ire directed toward the chamber was not helpful in the conversation and detracted from the healthy discussions that was necessary in a public space. I think we can be better, she said. Quote, I want a Springfield where Springfield and the Chamber and the neighborhoods can work together, because that's the only reason that we're going to have any type of success. While the resolution calls for conversations to be had locally about the referendum process and whether it, in its current form, still serves the goals of the city, it does not lay out a clear path for how those conversations will be facilitated. Next headline is Representative Stinnett takes a stance against the bill. Springfield Representative Melody Stinnett released a statement just before the February 9th council meeting announcing she has formally asked Knight to withdraw the bill. Her initial comments on the matter acknowledged the need for local residents to weigh in on any decision, although she also said Springfield needs to ensure business feels confident in investing here. Stinnett said in her news release that she met with neighborhoods, residents, and community leaders to hear feedback on the proposed legislation and relay the information to Knight. Upon gathering thoughts from the community, Stinnett concluded the currently proposed legislation, as written, does not align with the community's priorities. Quote, the feedback was clear. Springfield citizens want transparency, fairness, and a process that respects their voices before changes of this magnitude are considered, Stinnett said in the release.
And the Republic Branch Library opens with double the space and new amenities. Janice Reeser with the Springfield News-Leader says the new Republic Branch Library is open to the public, doubling its previous size and offering new amenities. The library at 921 North Lindsay Avenue opened February 2nd, according to a community announcement. The 22,000 square foot facility includes dedicated spaces for children and teens, a Business Connect Center, a 150-seat community room, and a makerspace. The design incorporates natural elements to create a welcoming atmosphere. The $11.1 million project was designed by Paragon Architecture and constructed by Nabholz Construction. Funding came from the American Rescue Plan Act, donations and library reserves, according to the announcement. The library's drive-up window will be open 7:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday and 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday. The library itself will open 8:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday and 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday. The district has hired 10 new employees to staff the expanded facility, according to the announcement. We're excited to open this new facility to the growing Republic community. We believe it will be an outstanding, enriching space that will benefit all ages. We expect a great turnout as we officially cut the ribbon on June 1st to kick off the summer reading program, Executive Director Ed Walton said in the announcement. The Springfield Greene County Library District operates 10 branches throughout Greene County. For more information, visit thelibrary.org or contact Vicki Hicks, Community Relations Director, at 417-616-0564 or Vicki H. at thelibrary.org.
And from the Springfield News-Leader, a bill aims to limit Missouri elementary students' screen time. A couple of key points. Missouri lawmakers are considering a bill to limit screen time for elementary students to 45 minutes a day. The proposed legislation would also require at least 70% of assignments to be handwritten and mandate cursive instructions. Educators and advocates support the bill, citing concerns about student distraction, mental health, and developmental readiness. Missouri lawmakers are moving to rein in elementary schools' use of technology, debating legislation last Wednesday, February 4th, that would cap students' daily use of digital services at 45 minutes. Quote, this bill is about restoring balance, common sense, and childhood to Missouri classrooms, said State Representative Tricia Burns, a Republican from Wentzville, before we lose another generation of students to screens. The House Education Committee on February 4th raised some concerns about identical bills filed by Burns and State Representative Marlene Terry, a Democrat from Bellefontaine Neighbors. Republican State Representative Ed Lewis of Moberly, who chairs the committee, said he thought the 45-minute requirement was, quote, too prescriptive, indicating that changes are very likely. What follows is a picture of State Representative Tricia Burns, the representative from Wentzville, presenting the bill to the Missouri House Education Committee. I don't disagree that we need to address screen time, he said. Quote, how we do that is definitely something we need to discuss. Burns said she's willing to make edits, saying she and Terry will, quote, work with you to get those laptops off those babies' desks. As presented February 4th, the bill would only impact kindergarten through 5th grade with a daily limit on digital instruction and a requirement that at least 70% of assignments be handwritten. It also seeks to bar schools from requiring students to bring laptops home and would mandate cursive writing instruction. Burns described the legislation as a responsible course correction, saying schools become too reliant on devices like iPads and laptops to provide instructional materials and assignments over the past decade. Vanessa Whittle, an instructional technology specialist in the Waynesville School District, speaking from her personal experience, told the committee that she was a, quote, vocal advocate for initiatives to assign a laptop or iPad to each student 10 years ago. While she still believes technology is beneficial in the classroom, she warns against giving students too much digital access before they are, quote, developmentally ready. Educators are seeing these trends nationwide: immediate distraction when devices are open, difficulty disengaging from their screens, rising digital safety alerts tied to mental health and online behavior, and the use of the school device as a personal device, both in and outside of school, she said. Whittle is one of many educators who are in favor of more hands-on learning. Otto Fan, Director of Legislative Advocacy for the Missouri National Education Association, said teachers are worried about students' attention spans and support the change. But making the switch from virtual instruction may be challenging, he said, noting that state learning standards and testing mandates influence schools' decision to buy laptops for students. Quote, they need the flexibility to not have the state push them in this direction, Fan said. They need to make the decision based on best practices and what their educators seek. State Representative Ann Kelly, a Republican from Lamar and former middle school teacher, said her area's school districts had similar concerns about testing when she asked them about the bill. Quote, they agree that students K through 5 should not have a screen in front of them, she said, but what also was very common was saying school districts should be able to do this on their own. And then the next thing was, are we changing state testing? She pointed to the cost of supplying more physical books and moving away from some of the digital textbooks and reading materials currently available. The bill includes exceptions for, quote, special education needs and assistive technology, but some worried the bill's language was too broad and would permit schools to switch some hands-on special education to instruction on a laptop. Tracy Bloke, Director of Legislative Advocacy for the Missouri Developmental Empowerment Foundation, said schools are increasingly turning to digital instruction instead of hands-on support for students with disabilities. Many families are having their children put in front of digital instruction for specialized minutes, and their parents are very unaware of how often it has happened until it's too late, she said. Then we have to file for due process. Diane Dragon, a special education attorney, said a switch to online special education has spurred lawsuits costing school district up to $150,000 to litigate. When schools remove teacher-led instruction from special education classrooms and instead log students onto self-directed online learning programs, they do a profound disservice to our students, she said. No one spoke in opposition to the bill during the public hearing, and the committee adjourned without taking immediate action on the bill.
And Branson Police Department enters into a contract with ICE despite community opposition. Marta Meese with the Springfield News-Leader tells us that after hours of testimony on February 10th, Branson's Board of Aldermen unanimously approved an agreement that will bestow upon Branson Police Department officers the powers to carry out immigration enforcement. The vote came after the tumultuous conclusion of about 3 hours of public comment, when a contingent of those who spoke against the contract with Immigrations and Customs Enforcement walked out in the middle of board comments, shaming board members who they said failed to consider public sentiment. The memorandum of agreement between ICE and the Branson Police Department provides for certain law enforcement officers to be trained and then, after an examination, authorized to perform certain functions of an immigration officer under the 287G program. The city document outlines that participating personnel will have the authority to interrogate any undocumented immigrant or person believed to be an undocumented immigrant about their right to be or remain in the U.S., arrest without a warrant anyone believed to be in the U.S. in violation of the law and likely to escape before a warrant can be obtained, and the power to issue immigration detainers and take and maintain custody of those arrested pursuant to immigration laws, among others. Branson Police Chief Eric Schmidt acknowledged at the Tuesday, February 10th meeting that the public concerns and said that to him, the community was a precious thing to protect. He said that the contract ensures that local officers who know and live in Branson themselves are the ones making the decisions and not federal officers who lack that care. The chief also noted that while agreement would give Branson Police access to ICE data, ICE would not get access to information kept by the Branson Police Department. This is not us going down the street, stopping people of a different race asking for papers. We absolutely will not do that, Schmidt said. They, ICE, do provide us a list of people that they know are in the country illegally. There is no requirement for us to go act on that list. In order for police officers to be eligible to be trained and perform ICE duties, they must have at least 2 years of law enforcement experience. After training and certification is completed, The officer will be authorized to perform functions of an immigration officer for an initial 2-year period, according to the agreement. This authorization can be revoked at any time. The agreement specifies that the local law enforcement personnel are only authorized to perform immigration enforcement work while under the supervision and direction of ICE. The agreement will remain in effect indefinitely until one of the parties decides to terminate it. It was also made clear throughout discussions that ICE did not need the agreement nor the city's permission to operate in the area themselves. Schmidt noted that the final discretion for any immigration actions under the agreement falls on the police department, and that local policies and standards for officers, which will remain in place during immigration-related enforcement, are stricter than those of federal agents. He emphasized that with this discretion, the department would only utilize these powers to detain people who have a, quote, criminal nexus. Several speakers noted this term was too vague, calling it a, quote, pinky promise and a slippery slope that did not provide proper due process for those who may be detained. Many referenced occasions in which undocumented immigrants have been deported for minor, not violent crimes. While Branson leaders indicated the agreement would not have a financial impact on the city or the department because ICE would reimburse BPD for the costs, those speaking in opposition to the contract highlighted that this would still distract local officers from focusing on local crimes. April Hicks of Merriam Woods said this would also erode the trust the community currently has in local police. When local police become involved in federal immigration enforcement, fear spreads. People stop reporting crimes, victims stay silent, witnesses disappear. The families who work in our hotels, kitchens, theaters, and attractions will be afraid to call for help, she said. When trust breaks down, everyone becomes less safe, including our tourists. Nearly all those filling the council chambers February 10th raised their hands in opposition to the bill. Several attendees wiped away tears as dozens spoke against the ICE contract and highlighted the fear documented and undocumented immigrants, as well as people of color, already feel, which they said would be exacerbated with the signing of the agreement. While some speakers were Branson residents or grew up in Branson, the public comment portion also included speakers from Springfield and smaller communities surrounding Branson. We want to believe you care about us, not about money, pressure, policies rooted in fear and profiling, but about people, local resident Claudia Cedillo Clifford said. Because people are what makes Branson, not contracts, not enforcement agreements, not numbers on a budget sheet, us. Some speakers warned about the negative impact the agreement and immigration enforcement activity could have on Branson's tourism industry. Aldermen countered this with the notion that public safety improves tourism. Local business owner Justice Gonzalez also cited Branson crime data that showed a majority of violent crime offenders were white. Ahead of voting, aldermen referenced their own connections to the immigrant and Hispanic communities and praised diversity as a strength of the community. I think immigration is the lifeblood of this community, said Alderman Marshall Howden, who noted his own in-laws are immigrants. National elections are going to affect what happens to ICE, not this vote, which is going to allow us to do things on our terms more than on the national terms. With all voting in support of the agreement, however, they noted that this was another tool the police would have to crack down on crime and urged the community to trust local police to use the authority responsibly. I don't care if you belong here, if you're here legally, or if you're here illegally. If you commit a crime, you need to be arrested, Alderman Ruth Denham said. I've heard so much about color and political parties tonight when we are just talking about crimes in general. That's what this ordinance is about.
And Missouri lawmakers look for funds to shield health programs from cuts. A couple of key points. Missouri lawmakers are seeking to cut, quote, fat and wastefulness from the state budget to protect vital health programs. Governor Mike Kehoe's proposed budget includes significant cuts to disability services and substance use disorder programs. Lawmakers are scrutinizing unspent funds within the Department of Health and Senior Services to reallocate money. Missouri lawmakers scrounge for unspent or underutilized funds that could be cut from next year's budget Monday, vowing to protect programs they said are vital to the health of Missourians. Republican State Representative Darren Chappell of Rogersville vowed during a presentation of the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services to minimize proposed cuts to two programs designed to help Missourians with developmental disabilities live safely in their homes and participate actively in their communities, avoiding costly and isolating institutionalization. Quote, I'm going after a shred of fat and wastefulness everywhere it can be found before I have to tell someone whose life depends upon us that we don't have any money, said Chappell, who is chair of the budget subcommittee covering health, senior services, mental health, and social services. And what follows is a picture of Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services Director Sarah Wilson addressing the committee on Monday. The proposed cuts to disability services would apply to the state's Department of Mental Health, even though Mental Health Director Valerie Hune was not scheduled to testify before the House Budget Committee until Tuesday, February 10th. The presence of the recommendations shaped the Monday hearing, with lawmakers referring to messages they received from concerned constituents and advocates. Quote, if we didn't get an email about anything else, we got an email about this particular budget, said Democratic State Representative Rachel Prudy of Ferguson, referring to the mental health budget. Governor Mike Kehoe's proposed budget for fiscal year 2027 recommends a $17.5 million funding reduction for self-directed supports, which lets people with disabilities or their families hire, train, and manage their own care staff. Another recommendation would cut $61.7 million from providers of structure group programs called day habilitation. Lawmakers in the February 9th hearing also questioned proposed cuts to substance use disorder prevention and treatment grants in the Health and Senior Services budget. Kehoe's recommended budget would eliminate $500,000 in grants for the use of medication-assisted treatment as part of the state's drug and DWI courts. The recommendations would also cut $350,000 for drug use resistance education in schools. Republican State Representative John Black of Marshfield, vice chair of the subcommittee, said lawmakers would resist cuts to grants aimed at reducing harms of tobacco and drug use. Quote, we know that the grants to the programs, to the providers that are providing prevention and treatment for persons with substance use disorders, in fact, save the state money, Black said. The budget proposal would slash $300,000 from youth tobacco use prevention initiatives, while the fiscal year 2026 budget allocated $2.5 million to services to help Missourians quit tobacco and nicotine products, including phone and online coaching programs. Recommendations for fiscal year 2027 allot only $100,000. Quote, it's almost like the state makes money off of the sale of those things, Chappell said. Budget calamity. Buoyed by what Chappell describes as the state's budget calamity, committee members look for any parts of the budget where lawmakers had appropriated more than state agencies used. The state faces declining revenues and a shrinking surplus. Chappell asked representatives of the state's health department to commit spending and federal other sources of funding before dipping into the state's general revenue. Can you all make that commitment yet, he asked. Yes is the word that you're looking for, by the way. Health and Senior Services Director Sarah Wilson told lawmakers that Missouri spends only about $7 per person on public health. Quote, it's about the price of a specialty coffee or drink, Wilson said. Democratic State Representative Betsy Fogel of Springfield asked why the department has left funds unspent for certain budget items despite claims that public health is underfunded in Missouri. Fogel gave the example of between $52 million and $65 million in unspent federal funds each year between fiscal years 2023 and 2025 for services related to HIV, sexually transmitted infections, and hepatitis. Laura Brannicky, director of the department's Division of Community and Public Health, explained that the department requests spending authority without knowing ahead of time how many people will need services. Brannicky said changes to Medicaid eligibility could increase caseloads for one of the programs in that budget line, which provides support for low-income people living with HIV. When Medicaid expansion occurred, we've seen a lot of individuals move from the program to Medicaid, Brannicky said. We may see some shifting back from that. The department is proposing to reduce its budget authority by $10 million. Should we be coming down to more than $10 million, Fogel asked, just to have the budget a little more accurately reflect our spend? Chappell said that right-sizing the budget would not wipe out the need to make painful budget cuts to programs like disability care services. Quote, I cannot promise that those will suffer no loss whatsoever, he said, but what I can promise you is that it is my intention to wring every last penny out of every place else before those cuts have to be made.
And an update to a story from the weekend. There was an arson fire at the Hotel of Terror that caused some minor damage, and a suspect has been arrested. From Marta Mees at the Springfield News-Leader, the Hotel of Terror, a staple haunted attraction in downtown Springfield, was set on fire Saturday, February 7th, suffering minor damage in a reported arson. According to a city news release, the Springfield Fire Department responded to 334 North Main Avenue shortly after 9 a.m. Saturday after reports of a fire. Fire crews quickly extinguished the flames, which were contained to the exterior of the building. Sterling Mathis, Hotel of Terror owner, told the News-Leader via text that damage to the building was minimal. Michael Howerton, 55, was arrested on suspicion of second-degree arson, according to the release. As of Monday morning, he remained at Greene County Jail. According to the probable cause statement filed in Greene County Circuit Court, a fire department employee was first to arrive and saw a small fire on the front door of the building, where they observed Howerton allegedly pouring a liquid from a gas can onto the fire. Video footage showed Howerton initially attempting 3 times to light a fire using a clear glass bottle labeled Sea Ice Vodka, according to the document. Howerton is accused of using his feet and a large rock in an attempt to break into the door, forcibly removing the doorknob before starting the fire. According to the probable cause, each time the fire burnt out on its own, Howerton added more unknown liquid from the gas can. During an interview with the fire department, he allegedly confessed to starting the fire with gasoline he purchased for $2 at a gas station and stated he acted alone. Howerton's bond has been set at $25,000. He has a history of probation and parole warrants and pleaded guilty to driving while intoxicated in 2017. Hotel of Terror has been the center of an eminent domain controversy for years. After surviving eminent domain attempts in 2023, Springfield City Council again initiated eminent domain proceedings to seize the property in order to address deteriorating conditions of the adjacent Main Avenue Bridge. Mathis has been leading efforts to collect enough signatures for a referendum petition to force council to either repeal its decision or send the question to the ballot. Springfield City Clerk found the initial petition submitted in January fell 125 signatures short of the required amount. Mathis was given 10 days to collect and submit the necessary signatures. The supplemental signatures were expected to be delivered to the city clerk at some point Monday, February 9th.
Teacher retention in Springfield improves, but still lags behind the state average. Every school in the Springfield Public Schools is showing signs of improvement, and suburban school districts aren't ahead by very much. This is an article from the Springfield Daily Citizen by Joe Hadsel, and what follows is a picture of Jeffries Elementary and Springfield Public Schools fleet staff participating in a brain boost exercise at a back-to-school pep rally. In August, the Springfield Public Schools hosted a pep rally for all of its employees. Lower levels of Great Southern Bank Arena will be filled with more than 3,000 teachers, aides, bus drivers, and others to raise spirits and excitement for the upcoming school year. The district is hoping fewer and fewer of those teachers will attend that rally for the first time. Springfield Public Schools retention rate for teachers and other employees is improving, but it ranks behind the state average, while suburban schools around the region come in ahead of that average. Those numbers are from the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, show that the gap between SPS and suburban districts is small. Springfield is separated from Willard, the metropolitan area's best retainer, by about 5 percentage points. The numbers also show that economic status is sometimes a factor, but not all the time. For example, Wilder Elementary in southeast Springfield leads SPS with a teacher retention rate of 90%, but Pipkin Middle School, a Title I school, is above average with a 3-year retention rate of 66.67%. Additionally, the district has improved its retention since a drop in 2023. And every school in the district has 2024-2025 retention rates that either match or outpace their 3-year averages. The district is recovering from a series of layoffs made in advance of the 2025-26 school year, where it needed to trim about $15 million over 2 years to make up for lost federal COVID recovery money. The district has already cut the equivalent of 142 full-time jobs. Retention hasn't been a specific targeted goal of the district, but it is an important factor, Superintendent Granita Latham said. Quote, as we plan our budget for the upcoming year, it's always about staff, compensation, and benefits. That's a top priority, Latham said. If you go back to our strategic plan, it goes back to organization efficiency. So it's always ongoing. It's not so much about the state's percentage, it's about retaining the most qualified people in our district. And what follows is a picture of the superintendent. Recruiting and retention of employees have been front of mind for the district over the last few years. The board in June approved a budget that calls for spending an additional $9.3 million into salaries and benefits. SPS has built Future Educators, a Grow Your Own program in partnership with universities that offer education degrees. SPS expanded training opportunities for all teachers in the district, including the addition of live look-in sessions led by veteran teachers. The district expanded its health care benefits by offering a dual network option where employees can choose between Cox Health and Mercy Health systems. The district has already begun the process of developing the budget for next school year, and collective bargaining with the district's more than 3,000 employees will soon begin. But retention is complicated and critical, said Paul Katnick, Assistant Commissioner for DESA's Office of Educator Quality. The 1966 Coleman Report found that teacher quality matters most, Katnick said, and there have been a bunch of researchers in 60 years who replicated those studies, and they came up with the same finding. The number one factor in student learning, teacher quality. What I always tell people is the number one thing you have to get right if you want kids to learn is the quality of the teacher. Springfield Public Schools is celebrating a third consecutive year of improvement in the Missouri School Improvement Program. It's worked its way into the top half of Missouri school districts in places, highly among its contemporaries based on student population and economic indicators. SPS has a 3-year retention rate of 65%, and that rate lingers slightly behind the state average of 66.4, as well as the rates of suburban schools in the metropolitan area. However, the rate outperforms many of the district's contemporary. And what follows is DESE's data dashboards showing 3-year retentions, average teacher salaries, and student-teacher ratios for several area schools, including Springfield, Willard, also Missouri schools, Kansas City, St. Louis. It is a difficult job no matter where you teach. Teaching is not an easy profession. Nicole Holt, Deputy Superintendent of Academics for SPS, said in October, "Teaching is harder than it's ever been. That's chiefly because the list of responsibilities placed upon teachers has grown, thanks to additional regulations and other demands imposed by lawmakers. And those demands address factors that happen far outside of the teacher's classrooms. Quote, I would say it's very hard to be a teacher today because we're held to the standards of the academic piece, but then we're also responsible for all these other things," Holt said in October. And there are so many more facets to the work that a teacher does. Did a student eat breakfast? Have they been fed? Can they get to school safely? Those are all things that don't have anything to do with that base GPA. It's a tall order. What follows a picture of Dr. Nicole Holt, Deputy Superintendent of Academics, also Dr. Crystal Megers, Executive Director of Academics. This was taken back in October. Missouri State University offers the state's most prolific and productive programs for aspiring teachers. 1 of every 8 teachers in Missouri is a Bear, according to its website. Minor Baker, Director of MSU School of Teaching, Learning, and Developmental Science in the College of Education, said that program prepares students for the realities they'll face. That work starts up front, Baker said. Future teachers taught to quickly reconcile their perceptions of what the job entails. It starts with thinking about their own experiences and impressions of their own teachers they went to school, then loops in perceptions of the job created by the public or through TV shows and movies. Flipping that script takes some work, Baker said. Quote, they're trying to make sense of all that in a world where they are beginning to experience it for the first time. And at the start of their teaching career, everything is hard, much like any of us starting a career. There's a steep learning curve to learning anything, and there are a lot of bumps and bruises along the way that you figure out as you go through it. Baker said the programs in the University College of Education offer plenty of chances to try the profession out so that students can make sure teaching is for them. That reduces the chances of teachers making that discovery after they get hired by a school. MSU works with both public and private schools to place its aspiring teachers in practicum programs. Using scaffolds, students ramp up their practical experience by starting with observation periods, then moving to working half days, then full days in classrooms. Quote, we believe strongly in giving them as many practical field experiences as possible so that they enter into the teaching experience with eyes wide open, Baker said. We don't just throw them into the ocean and say, go get them. There's a lot of structure, and students on that trajectory, a lot of them are successful and need that scaffolding to build up day-to-day teaching. Shannon Bean is the president of the Springfield NEA, Springfield's largest teacher union. She points out that recruitment and retention focus on 2 distinctively different groups of teachers, those who are fresh to the profession and those who have earned considerable experience. She divides teachers into 3 bands: new employees, teachers who are newly tenured, and teachers approaching retirement after long careers. That middle band is the one most susceptible to getting lured away by a competing district, she said. But in her experience, the reason a teacher in that band might leave tend to be specific and personal. So keeping those middle band teachers takes more than just compensation. She says it's a combination of salary and benefits combined with ensuring students feel supported and valued. In other words, Teachers need to feel like they're making a difference and the administration has their back. Quote, that's why teachers even become teachers, right? If they're not feeling like they're making a difference, they're going to choose to leave. Bean says as teachers, we're all leaders, and it's hard because we lead these classrooms full of students. So we need to be able to lead these students and feel supported in leading the students.
And speaking of the Springfield public school system, Joe Hadsall with the Springfield Daily Citizen tells us that SPS appears poised to keep the current school cafeteria service. The article begins with a photo of a bunch of adults here waiting in a school cafeteria line. It says they wait in line school cafeteria style for breakfast prior to Dr. Granita Lathan's State of the School speech to members of the Springfield Chamber of Commerce and others at Jarrett Middle School. Springfield Public Schools appear poised to stay with the company that handles meal preparation in school cafeterias. After reviewing 2 contracts, the district recommended sticking with its current provider, Aramark, who has held the contract since 1991. The global company is headquartered in Philadelphia. The Springfield Board of Education will consider approving the contract during its regular meeting set for February 24th. Travis Shaw, Deputy Superintendent of Operations, presented information about the recommendation during a study session of the board Tuesday. Shaw said that the district maintains an annual contract with Aramark, but is also required by law to put that contract out for bid every 5 years. Shaw said an ad hoc committee was formed to evaluate the contracts submitted by Aramark and Southwest Food Service. The district recommended Aramark based on a number of factors, including cost controls, service capabilities, innovation, and a promotion of its services. We are excited to continue moving forward with Aramark, Shaw said during the meeting. We are very satisfied with the work they do. There is always room for things they can improve on, but I love the look ahead they provide on the things that they are going to be focusing on. The district's student nutrition department oversees school cafeterias which serve breakfast and lunch during school days. The contract is worth almost $8,497,469.94, broken down to the following line items. Over $6.5 million for food, over $500,000 for supplies, over $1 million for salaries and benefits, and about $382,000 for administrative fees. Some of those costs are eligible for reimbursement from the federal government, Shaw said. In outlining Aramark's accomplishments, Shaw detailed how Aramark has been ahead of changing nutrition guidelines, reducing sugar in its breakfast menu before federal standards required scaling back. Cafeterias have maintained an average score of 98% in health inspections. The company controls waste, reporting a waste rate of 1.6% compared to a national average of 4%. The company continually reaches out to students and parents about food quality and options. The company presented a 5-year plan of how it hopes to improve. 2 of the district's food service employees addressed the board during the public comments portion of the meeting, both on opposite sides of the administration's Aramark recommendation. Springfield resident Lynette Wright, who supervises 3 of the school's cafeterias, asked board members to reject the Aramark bid. She spoke during Tuesday's meeting and said the Aramark's business model did not comply with board policies for the health and well-being of children. In a letter to the editor published in the Daily Citizen in January, Wright stated that Aramark's model for managing school cafeterias was way too wasteful and inefficient and featured menus that were consistently high in sugars. While some meals may meet minimum nutritional requirements, high sugar and heavily processed foods do not support students in performing at their best throughout the school day, Wright wrote. Access to balanced, nourishing meals is essential for focus, energy, behavior, and learning, particularly for students who rely on school meals as a primary food source. Alyssa Hokanen of Republic spoke in favor of Aramark, also as an employee in SPS cafeterias. She said that the company has stayed ahead of the curve regarding new dietary guidelines and that the company offers stability by keeping its workers employees of SPS. She said a new company might change that employment status. This uncertainty is a concern for many of my colleagues and myself as we value our status as district employees, Hokanen said. Aramark's structure helps ensure job security and stability for a dedicated team, and a transition may lead to unforeseen changes and adjustments, which could result in disruptions in service and satisfaction. The health of school lunches has been under the microscope for the past few years, but changed significantly under the Trump administration. Schools that receive federal funding for free and reduced price lunches must meet USDA rules. In January, the Department of Health and Human Services and USDA unveiled a new food pyramid and dietary guidelines that place an emphasis on protein and encourage consumption of full-fat dairy products with limits on highly processed foods. Those guidelines are not yet regulations. The school district has already been working to reduce sugar and salt in its meal offerings. While a vote was not taken, board members asked no questions that would indicate a reluctance to accept the deal. Board member Susan Provence said she appreciated Aramark's work to include local vendors such as Highland Dairy and Springfield Grocers. Board member Miriam Momadakani said she appreciated Aramark's commitment to improving nutritional quality. She asked questions about the company's plans for expanding dinner options and when the federal government's requirement for whole milk availability would take effect. Her questions were asked, presuming that answers would be given during the next board meeting.
Greene County Clerk adds NaviLens accessibility technology. The Greene County Clerk's office is implementing new technology to improve accessibility for people who are blind or visually impaired. The office is partnering with NaviLens and Mary's Braille International to introduce the technology, according to a community announcement. NaviLens is an accessibility technology that uses distinctive multicolored codes similar to QR codes to help individuals who are blind or have low vision navigate spaces individually. The NaviLens system includes two free mobile applications, NaviLens and NaviLens Go, available for both iOS and Android devices. When users point their smartphone in the direction of a NaviLens code, the app instantly detects it and delivers audio information, including directions, distances, and details about the location. The technology supports more than 40 languages. Codes can be detected instantly without needing to focus the camera from distances of up to 50 feet, at wide angles, and in any lighting condition. The technology translates visual signage into audio messages, providing users with real-time information about their surroundings. Cutting-edge accessibility technology. NaviLens is already in use in major transit systems worldwide, including the New York City MTA, the Los Angeles Metro, and the Barcelona Transit System, and by major consumer brands seeking to make product packaging more accessible. Next headline, making government accessible for all. The implementation of NaviLens is part of the Greene County Clerk's Office's ongoing commitment to accessibility. Quote, "It's important to me that we prioritize making government services accessible to everyone," Greene County Clerk Shane Scholler said in the announcement. Whether citizens are visiting our office to vote, access records, or conduct other business, NaviLens will help ensure they can navigate our facilities independently and with confidence. Residents are encouraged to download the NaviLens app and experience the technology during their next visit to the Greene County Clerk's office at 940 North Boonville Avenue, room 113, in the historic courthouse in Springfield. For more information about Greene County Clerk services, you can visit greencountymo.gov/county_clerk or vote.greencountymo.gov for election-related information.
And from the Springfield News-Leader, we have several obituaries this week. First, we have William Darrell Duncan, also known as Bill, a cherished member of the Springfield community, passed away peacefully on February 10th, 2026 at the age of 95. Born on December 25th, 1930 in Springfield, Missouri to Ross and Clara Duncan, Bill was preceded in death by his father, mother, brothers Ross, Bud, and Donald Don, and sisters Carol, Patricia, Pat, and Nancy, his son Darrell Wayne Duncan, and his daughter Teresa Applegate. Bill lived a life marked by service to his country, love, hard work, and an appreciation for travel and gardening. A proud veteran of the Korean War, Bill exemplified dedication, courage, and honor throughout his military service. After returning home, he devoted himself to his family and his career serving Springfield in public works. After serving Springfield for 35 years, Bill retired as the street maintenance supervisor for Springfield. Bill is survived by his beloved wife, Phyllis Duncan, and his sister, Shirley Crowdle, grandchildren, Shane Hand, Scott Applegate, and Chris Duncan, stepchildren and grandchildren, Charles Rogers, Robin Mendenhall, Steve Laxton, Kathy, and Gus Laxton. His warm spirit, quick wit, consistent laugh, and kind heart touched the lives of many, and he will be deeply missed by all who knew him. Graveside service for William Darrell Duncan will be held on Thursday, February 12th, 2025. I'm sure that means 2026. 1 p.m. at Green Lawn North Cemetery. Friends and family are invited to join in honoring his life and legacy. Bill's legacy of kindness and love will continue to inspire those he leaves behind. May he rest in peace. The family would like to extend special thanks and appreciation to Adina and the entire staff at Close to Paradise in Springfield MO. They provided around-the-clock care for Bill as he became part of their family. Next, we have Ronald Eugene Zeil, age 87, who passed away on February 8, 2026 in Springfield, Missouri. Ronnie Zeil was born on September 14, 1938 in Lyons, Kansas, to Walter and Isel Zeil. Ron graduated from Emporia State University in 1963. He went on to build a long and successful career with Southwestern Bell, where he worked for 25 years and rose to the position of division-level manager. In January of 1983, Ron married Mary McIntyre, with whom he shared much laughter and love. Ron was an avid bass fisherman and loved a good game of gin rummy. He also had a passion for horse racing. Known for his strong comedic wit, Ron could keep a room laughing. A little-known fact about him, he was a tremendous dancer. He was a remarkably diverse and intelligent man. Ron had the rare ability to speak with anyone. He would verbally spar with the most learned in the room, then turn on a dime and genuinely connect with a good old boy, a child, or the elderly. He made people feel seen, heard, and valued. Ron will be greatly missed. He was a truly unique man. He is survived by his first wife, Darlene Perrig, and his present wife, Mary McIntyre, his eldest daughter, Dana Schrader, and her husband, Lonnie Schrader, and his second daughter, Tage Haynes, and her husband, Tim Haynes. He is also survived by his grandchildren, Justin Keach and his wife, Brianna Keach, along with their beautiful daughter, Addie Keach, Ethan Haynes, Kylie Keach, Hannah Haynes, and her fiancé, Leslie Helmick. He is also survived by a cute little Benji-type dog named Jojo. The rich legacy of Ronnie Zeil will live on. We are all much richer having known him. May our lives reflect his influence. Memorial service will be held Saturday, February 21st, 2026 at 11 a.m. in Gorman Sharp Funeral Home. And lastly, we have James Timothy Schonholzer. Tim Schonholzer of Chapel Hill, North Carolina, passed peacefully on February 3rd, 2026 at the age of 78. Tim was born and raised in Springfield, Missouri, a place that remained very close to his heart. A mechanical engineer by training, he was best known as the city's elevator inspector. His signature appeared in the city's elevators for decades. After retirement, Tim embraced life on the road, traveling in his RV from Florida to Canada and coast to coast. He especially loved the beach, where he and his dog Cotton would walk together in the sand. Nature brought him peace, and travel brought him joy. Tim had a brilliant mind, a generous heart, and a wonderfully snarky sense of humor. He was deeply devoted to his daughter Jessica and was, in her words, the best father she could have ever hoped for. Tim was preceded in death by his parents, John and Nancy Schonholzer. In addition to his daughter, Jessica Rain, and her wife, Faith Rain, he is survived by his brother, Stephen Schonholzer, and sister-in-law, Diane Schonholzer, along with their children and grandchildren, who all held a special place in his heart. Tim will be cremated, and in keeping with his wishes, there will be no formal service. Jessica and Faith plan to scatter his ashes in the Florida Keys, a place that was very special to him. In lieu of flowers, donations may be made to the Springfield Park Board to support the Cruise Dog Park, where he and Cotton made many friends and special memories.
Springfield's unemployment rate drops in December, the latest data showing. Springfield Metropolitan Statistical Area's unemployment rate ticked down in December, according to data which was released. This happened on February 6th by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The Springfield MSA, which comprises Greene, Christian, Dallas, Polk, and Webster counties, recorded a December unemployment rate of 2.9%, a decrease from 3.1% in November, according to a news release. The state's metro areas by December unemployment rate are as follows. In Jeff City, 2.5%, down from 2.7 in November. Columbia is down 2.6% from 2.9. Springfield, as we just mentioned, 2.9%, down from 3.1. Cape Girardeau, 3%, down from 3.1%. Joplin, 3.1%, down from 3.2. Kansas City, 3.5%, down from 3.7. And St. Louis stayed flat at 3.5%. Missouri's December unemployment rate was 3.3%, down from 3.5 in November. The BLS data is not seasonally adjusted compared with a year prior. December's unemployment rates were higher in 255 of the 387 metro areas measured nationwide by the LIS, lower in 110 and unchanged in 22. Springfield MSA's December 2024 unemployment rate was 2.9%. And while we still have the 2026 Olympics going on, St. Louis's Energizer Park has been selected to host 2028 Olympic soccer matches. St. Louis has been selected as one of the cities that will be hosting those soccer matches. The LA 28 Olympic and Paralympic Games announced on February 3rd that Energizer Park, host of St. Louis City SC, will be one of the 6 additional venues hosting both men and women's matches for the 2028 Olympic soccer tournament. Specifically, those sites will host group and knockout stage games, with the final matches set to be played at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Quote, "We are thrilled to be part of bringing back Olympic competition to St. Louis," St. Louis City CEO Carolyn Kindle said in a news release. Quote, "Being selected as an LA 28 Olympic venue is an extraordinary moment for our club and for our city." The schedule for both men and women's soccer tournaments, including which matches will be played where, will be announced before the first ticket drop in April of 2026. St. Louis's inclusion in the upcoming soccer tournament marks the first time in more than a century that an Olympic event has been held in Missouri. When are the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games, you ask? The 2028 Games will be held from Friday, July 14th, 2028 till Sunday, July 30th, 2028. And the 2028 Paralympic Games will be held from Tuesday, August 15th to Sunday, August 27th. Next headline, where will the 2028 Olympic and Paralympics be held? And that will be taking place in Los Angeles, with some also taking place in cities across the greater Los Angeles area and also in Oklahoma City. Olympic soccer matches will be played across 7 cities, including New York, Columbus, Nashville, St. Louis, San Jose, San Diego, and Pasadena. And the final headline reads, "Where do I get 2028 Olympics tickets?" The tickets will be sold in multiple drawings, with the first drop happening in April 2026, a little later this year. And here are the steps to take if you want a shot at scoring tickets. First off, you need to create an LA28 account at la28.org. Number 2, register for the drawing by March 18th of this year. If you're chosen, you'll receive an email between March 31st and April 7th with a time slot for the designated drawing. Number 4, residents of the greater Los Angeles area and Oklahoma City will get first dibs on tickets from April 2nd through the 6th. And the first ticket drop for the general public goes on sale from April 9th through the 19th. Those selected can purchase up to 12 tickets during their allotted time slot. And for those not selected the first go-around, don't fret. You'll automatically be entered into the draw for subsequent drops. Interesting.
Oh, good luck to anyone participating in that.
I had no idea.
No, I didn't either.
Interesting.
Let's see. Zoe McIntyre with the Springfield Daily Citizen brings us a story about parents suing Mercy Springfield after their diabetic son dies in the ER. A couple from Travis County, Texas, sued Mercy Springfield this week, alleging their son, George Lubrano, died because he did not receive proper care from emergency room staff. Lubrano died on December 16, 2024. According to the lawsuit, he had type 1 diabetes and visited the emergency room that day because he was vomiting, experiencing spasms in his back, and exhibiting critically high blood sugar. His condition allegedly worsened over the course of several hours while he waited for treatment. According to an online obituary, Lubrano, 24, was a gentle soul who excelled academically, loved nature, and held fast to his Christian faith. In March 2024, he moved to Springfield to become a mechanical design engineer at Paul Mueller Company. Attorney Grant Rawmeyer, who filed the lawsuit on behalf of John and Michelle Lubrano, emailed the Daily Citizen a written statement from his parents. Quote, "Our family is forever changed by George's death. We miss his joy and laughter on a daily basis, and his absence leaves a hole that can never be filled. Over the short time George lived in Missouri, he found a community that welcomed him with open arms. Our entire family fell in love with Springfield and the amazing people we met, visiting him every chance we got. We're bringing this action because we want to see change in whatever hospital policies, procedures, or personnel that led to George's death, so no other Missouri family has to endure the devastating loss we're living with." Lubrano entered the emergency department around 1:30 p.m. on December 16, 2024, and waited until approximately 5:35 p.m. to be brought to a treatment room, the suit states. While Lubrano was waiting for care, he allegedly complained multiple times to staff that he was struggling to breathe. He also told staff that he was feeling weak and his blood sugar monitor and insulin pump were not working properly, according to the suit. At 4:40 p.m., Lubrano allegedly told staff his insulin pump had not been working for more than 45 minutes. When he was taken into a treatment room around 5:35 p.m., Lubrano lost his pulse and went into cardiac arrest, the lawsuit states. Emergency medicine doctor Patrick Craddock allegedly attempted to resuscitate Lubrano by administering CPR, giving him IV epinephrine, and intubating him. Diabetic ketoacidosis is a complication of diabetes in which acids build in the blood to levels that can be life-threatening if left untreated, but with prompt attention can be treated with fairly non-invasive measures and reversed within hours. Instead, the decedent waited untreated in the waiting room for nearly 5 hours, despite displaying clear symptoms of diabetic ketoacidosis, and at 6:01 p.m. he was pronounced dead from complications related to that condition, the lawsuit states. Mercy Springfield, Craddock, and nurse practitioner Kimberly Wilkerson are named as defendants in the lawsuit. It claims the staff who oversaw Lubrano were, quote, careless and negligent in failing to use that degree of skill, care, learning, and judgment ordinarily used under the same or similar circumstances by members of their profession, end quote. A spokesperson for Mercy Springfield provided the hospital's official statement. We extend our heartfelt prayers and condolences for this family's devastating loss. We have and will continue to work with the family and their counsel to work toward a resolution. Through the lawsuit, Lubrano's parents seek, quote, actual and compensatory damages for their son's expenses and other relief as the court deems just. The following is a photo taken outside of the emergency room. It says emergency room wait times at Springfield hospitals are worse than the state and national average.
The Boys and Girls Club will announce the 2026 Youth of the Year today. Boys and Girls will be holding their annual Youth of the Year banquet. The event scheduled for 6 to 8 p.m. at the Doubletree by Hilton Glendalough Convention Center, 2433 North Glenstone Avenue in Springfield. Youth of the Year honor, the organization selects one high school student from 11 finalists for the Youth of the Year honor, according to a community announcement. The program, administered by local clubs and Boys and Girls Clubs of America, recognizes youth for leadership skills, academic achievement, obstacles overcome, and community service. And what follows is a picture of Central High School senior Hunter Johnson, who was named the 2025 Boys and Girls Club of Springfield Youth of the Year during a banquet last year. The local winner receives a $20,000 college scholarship from the Boys and Girls Club's partners in education. The Youth of the Year award is the highest honor a Boys and Girls Club member can receive. It focuses on acknowledging club members' leadership abilities. The local winner will compete at the state level in Jefferson City in April, where they'll have a chance to win an additional $2,000 in scholarships and potentially advance to regional and national competitions. The National Youth of the Year winner will serve as a leader and advocate for more than 3.6 million youth served by Boys and Girls Clubs annually. The ceremony will also recognize winners of several other awards, including the Onward and Upward Award, Great Futures Award, and Alumni Association Award. Recipients will receive $10,000, $12,000, and $2,000 respectively. Additionally, a Junior Youth of the Year Award will be presented, sponsored by MD Kinney, to recognize elementary and middle school age youth. Great Futures Award is sponsored by Heart of the Ozarks Ortoma Club, and the Alumni Association is sponsored by Boys and Girls Club of Springfield Alumni and Friends, according to the announcement. If you'd like more information or if tickets are available, be sure and check out https://tinyearl.com 37VVW3ST. Period.
Okay, coming to us from Juliana Goodwin at the Springfield Daily Citizen. Figgy's Gift Bar and Empire Coffee create a community hub in Rogersville. The story begins with a beautiful photo of the interior space. It looks very chic, boutique-y. Everything about Figgy's Gift Bar is a surprise. First, the size. Located in a strip mall, it's 5,000 square feet, but you can't tell from the outside. The moment you walk in, your senses are tickled with the aroma and vibrant colors of the make-your-own candle bar at the entrance. You might hear gentle piano music as the owner's 19-year-old daughter plays when she's in the mood. Lights are strung throughout the ceiling and adorn 2 pergolas in the store. While there is a grandness about this place, it's also warm and charming. The hissing buzz of milk being frothed can be heard as you walk toward the back, and the chatter of people talking. Stroll past a case of delectable truffles, and you arrive at Empire Coffee. The aroma of rich coffee fills the air. Faithful customers, Ronnie Kissy and his wife Lisa, come here every day, except Monday when it's closed. The coffee will spoil you, warns Lisa. It's so smooth, it doesn't have that bitter taste. It's top-notch, she said. Lisa wasn't a regular coffee drinker until she tasted Empire Coffee. Carlo Selvaggi and his business partner Heidi Carlson run Empire Coffee in the back of the store. Heidi's identical twin sons, Ethan and Shane, are the baristas. "The good Lord sent Carlo to us," said Ronnie, adding that this spot is exactly what Rogersville needed. Empire Coffee serves pastries from Chef Roland Parney, the French chef who closed his popular Fordland restaurant 2 years ago. Selvaggi is originally from Italy and wants people to get a little taste of his homeland. He sells Danesi, a fourth-generation Italian coffee, including bags to go if you fall in love with it. The flavor is robust and smooth. They make 3 types of tiramisu in-house. The first is his aunt's recipe, which he learned to make when he was 6. It's served in a mason jar with ladyfingers from Italy and is dusted with cocoa from Perugia, a region known for its chocolate. Following is a picture of the dessert, and it looks absolutely delectable. The next option is made with Biscoff cookies, and the third comes in a large round mug, is made with both ladyfingers and Biscoff. Here's something unusual. If you struggle with how much to tip your barista, you don't have to. They don't accept tips because tipping in Italy is not expected, and they wanted to carry that over. "Our number one goal is customer service," Carlson said. They don't charge extra for alternative milks like oat and are one of the few places you will find pistachio milk. While a community hub in Rogersville, they have customers from all over the region. Some come for the coffee, some for the pastries, some for Amanda Stroop, who owns Figgy's Gift Bar. Both businesses are family-run. Figgy's Gift Bar opened in early 2023. Years ago, Stroop worked at a car dealership organizing events and other responsibilities. She wanted to eventually own her own business. "I wouldn't say I wanted to do retail. I wanted to do community," Stroop said. "I wanted to have my own business and create a culture that is like family." She opened a store in Marshfield that sold candy and pet products. "My first business, I started with $500. I am super proud of that," she said. Stroop ran the store for 5 years. When one of her daughters was getting ready to open Planet Gumball, Stroop didn't want to compete with her daughter, so she moved to Rogersville, and her daughter inherited the candy sales. In a fun twist, her daughter is now opening another Planet Gumball in the same strip mall as Figgy's Gift Bar, so they will be close to each other. When Stroop moved to Rogersville, she wanted to expand her business. "There is something for everyone," Stroop said. She carries clothes, seasonal items, home decor, goat soap from Ozarks, gourmet food, handbags, gifts, and truffles for 99 cents. The truffles are from Chocolate in St. Louis. She has sold tens of thousands of the truffles since opening. She buys from small and local and regional businesses wherever possible. The store offers free gift wrapping. Sometimes customers will be in a hurry and tell her they have 10 minutes to get a gift and get it wrapped before they need to leave for a birthday party, and Stroop can make it happen. Stroop said she was lucky because she already had a large customer base who followed her to this store. As she worked the counter, she would hear customers from Rogersville, Seymour, Mansfield tell her they wished she'd open in their city. As she was being interviewed, a customer came up and hugged her before they left. Others knew her by name and greeted her when they walked in or said goodbye. Her daughter Lily, age 19, works at the store and is the reason there is a piano in the middle of the store. Lily plays by ear, and whenever it strikes her fancy, she sits down and gently plays. When Stroop set up the store, she had an area in the back that she envisioned would someday be a coffee shop. Then one day, a man named Carlo walked into Figgy's Gift Bar. I walked in and said, "This place would be really great if you had a coffee shop in here." And she said she was going to open one. I said, "I'm the guy to do it," Selvaggi said. He dreamed of opening a coffee shop since he was 16. A week later, they ran into each other at Home Depot. Selvaggi said, "How about that coffee shop?" In less than 2 weeks, they ran into each other again 2 more times at Home Depot. Stroop decided that was more than a coincidence. I was like, "Maybe this is a sign," Stroop said. Empire Coffee went from vision to fruition. "We're like a family now," she said. Before Rogersville, Selvaggi and Carlson both lived in California and were friends. They also wanted to leave the state. He started researching areas and found the Ozarks. He came out to look at properties. "I couldn't believe the hospitality when I got here to look around," Selvaggi said. "I would drive around Rogersville and people would wave, and I was like, what are they waving at? That is crazy. If you stare at someone in California for too long, you're going to get into a fight." He moved his mother here with him, and after a while told Carlson he thought she'd like it. The land was reasonable, the people were friendly, it was beautiful. So she moved her sons here and helped Selvaggi open the coffee shop. At first, people didn't want to try the coffee. They were stunned. So they handed out free samples, and people's eyes would pop open, and they'd ask what kind of coffee they were serving. After that initial hurdle, they quickly built a customer base. They have customers from Rogersville, Springfield, and area towns, sometimes as far as 2 hours away. They're still only in the soft opening phase and want to do so much more. They plan to serve additional food like pizza and paninis soon. They are aiming for April, but restaurants often run behind, so it may be a little later, he said. They want to import more products from Italy, like meats and cheeses, but the tariffs haven't helped that dream. They do have a shelf stocked with pasta, sauces, and spreads from Italy. The empire in the name comes from the Roman Empire and is a nod to all things wonderful that come out of Italy. They have handmade cappuccino and espresso cups made locally. The spoons for the tiramisu are mini shovels. Forks are pitchforks. They pore over every detail and want to bring a taste of Europe to this corner of Rogersville. We are just trying to create that experience here, Carlson said. Do you want to go? What? Figgy's Gift Bar and Empire Coffee. Where's it at? 319 South Main Street, Sweet Pea, Rogersville, Missouri, 65742. And you can find them on Facebook, both at Figgy's Gift Bar and at Empire Coffee.
Missouri lawmakers move to seize control of high school sports. Missouri senator surprised high school sports officials with a bill stripping the Missouri State High School Athletic Association of independence on its 100th birthday. Senator Jason Bean introduced a substitute bill February 3rd, just the day before the association's centennial, catching leaders off guard what they believe to be good faith negotiations. Quote, we learned just before the start of the day's session in the Senate that, in fact, there was a substitute bill about to be introduced and that it would be total takeover of the Missouri State High School Associations Association. The executive director, Dr. Jennifer Rukstead, said, well, what the bill does, it's Senate Bill 863 and would transfer governance of high school sports from the association to the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. The legislation would, quote, number one, create a 5-member interscholastic athletic activities oversight board appointed by the governor, require all school payments to the association flow through the state board, ban schools from paying the Missouri State High School Association directly, force the association to submit financial statements to the board 3 times yearly, and establish the board as the appeals board for the Missouri State High School Association's decisions. The Senate Education Committee recommended the original bill on January 29th, just before being substitute. And what follows is a picture of the Missouri State Capitol in Jefferson City. The next headline, Why It Matters. For a century, the Missouri State High Schools Association's 724 member schools have governed their own association. The bill would end that independence. Quote, for a century, our member schools have governed their association, Rukstead said. It's time to fight for the future of high school sports and activities in our state. The association is urging Missourians to contact lawmakers and oppose the bill. Now, the backstory, the Missouri State High School Association officials said they worked with legislators in January to clarify earlier versions of the bill. Bean told the association he wanted to create an independent appeals board. On February 3rd, the Missouri State High School Association noted that it presented a plan in good faith, expecting a negotiated compromise. Quote, there were no efforts by either lawmaker to negotiate, and it would appear that there was little intention to do so, Rukstead said. Student Voices. Brookfield High School student athlete Blade Lindsay, a member of the Missouri Students Defending Athletics, defended the high school association's current structure. Quote, many people don't understand that through this association, member schools have countless opportunities to make changes to their constitution through area meetings, committee involvement, and proposing ballot issues. Lindsay told a local Missouri television station. Lindsay also serves on the Missouri State High School's Student Advisory Committee. It's important to understand that this association is not staff-driven. Rather, it is a small democracy contained of member schools from across the state. Senator Bean's response, the television station sat down with the senator to get more insight into the bill, and we want transparency in the process, how the Missouri State Association handles appeals, how they handle everything. He believes an oversight board would promote fairness within athletics. He says the oversight board will be citizens, not senators and not representatives. He says Senate Bill 863 was inspired by a long period of community concerns and complaints. Quote, I think it's just reached a period where people are finally, they feel like they've had enough, and it's time for some oversight, some clarification onto MSHA SAA, said Bean. Well, what's next? The next headline reads, the bill has a companion in the House, HB 2278. The Senate bill has been placed on the February 9th informal calendar for perfection.
And what's Missouri State's vibe? University launches a brand refresh from Claudette Riley with the Springfield Business Journal. Missouri State University has recruited students to help strengthen its brand and identity, or how the campus tells its story. MSU President Richard Biff Williams explained in a February 10th blog post that the brand refresh is part of the university's 5-year strategic plan. This isn't simply a marketing effort, he wrote. It's a university-wide commitment to communicate with clarity and consistency about who we are, what we value, and how we serve students in the community. Williams said nearly 280 people have signed up for brand workshops planned for February 11th and 12th. They include students, staff, faculty, and engaged alumni. The first day will examine what MSU's vibe is, how the institution defines itself now, and what it wants to become. The second day will be focused on messaging or storylines so the campus can communicate its brand to the public. MSU is asking those who can't attend in person to complete an online survey. The university's Refresh the Brand work group is led by Corey Canada, Director of Web Strategy and Development, and Andrea Mostyn. Mostyn, the longtime Director of Strategic Communication, was recently named Interim Vice President of Marketing and Communications after the retirement of Suzanne Shaw. Mostyn said the work will continue through the spring and summer with changes to be enacted in the fall. This is not a rebranding, she said February 10th. We are looking at a brand refresh, what differentiates Missouri State from other universities. The university has a $150,000 contract with college marketing firm Carnegie Higher Education for the brand refresh. Mostyn said the agency is taking a fresh look at the university's brand and reputation and will help develop a strategy. In the blog, Williams explained that the refresh started in January. The work includes surveys, interactive workshops, competitor analysis, and external perception research. A refresh of the MSU brand is not happening in a vacuum. Williams said there are related work groups working on expanding the university's role in the community, creating centralized communicators forum, and enhancing the game day experience.
And the Blind Community Thrift Store is a spacious 17,000 square foot thrift store located in Springfield, Missouri. It holds the distinction of being the first retail store worldwide to incorporate NaviLens technology, which significantly enhances accessibility for the blind, visually impaired, and non-English speaking individuals. This innovative system enables customers to navigate and shop with minimal assistance, fostering independence and confidence. The store operates as a nonprofit organization dedicated to generating funds that support the provision of adaptive technology and training for the blind and visually impaired community, often at little to no cost. Visitors can learn more about the organization and access its services by visiting the store in person at 2713 North Kansas Expressway, Springfield, Missouri, or explore the website, www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The website offers comprehensive information about the store's mission, services, opportunities for community involvement, as well as details about the free store available to residents in the Springfield area. And we might add 50% off clothing on Wednesdays. In other retail news, Battlefield Mall is providing new details about the opening of a national sports retail chain. Simon Properties, owner of the mall, had announced that Dick's Sporting Goods will be opening their House of Sport Superstore in 2027. The company did not provide a specific month or date of the projected opening. Ozarks First was the first to report on plans for the new store back in October. At that time, neither Battlefield Mall nor Simon returned calls seeking details on the construction and opening timelines. According to project plans filed with the city of Springfield last fall, the retailer's new store will be going into the now vacant Dillard's Women's Store, also known as the old Montgomery Wards. That space became empty earlier this year when Dillard's combined both of its mall stores into the brand new location in the old Sears spot. The project plans now show changes being made to both the exterior and interior. The 118,000 square foot area will be falling under a new larger store format, being branded as Dick's House of Sport. The retailer's website explains that several of the new stores are under construction or planned across the country. According to a news release from 2023 announcing the new concept, Dick's House of Sport is a 100,000 plus square foot store, provides athletes with an incredible assortment of products along with in-store experiences, including a climbing wall, multiple golf bays with TrackMan simulators, chairs, and multi-sport cages that can be used for baseball, softball, lacrosse, and soccer, and give athletes an opportunity to try product while measuring and tracking their performance. House of Sport stores also focus on deep integration within the local community through partnerships and events. Some locations have a field attached to the store that can be used for open play, clinics, league space, or as an ice rink in the winter.
Springfield launches a fee to boost year-round litter cleanup. Janice Reeser with the Springfield News-Leader says that the Springfield City Council approved a new initiative to address litter along major roads by implementing a fee on waste delivered to the city landfill. The Clean Green Waste Impact Initiative was approved February 2nd and is designed to fund year-round litter removal, according to a community announcement. The initiative is based on findings from the city's landfill waste characterization study and citizen solid waste satisfaction survey, both completed in 2025. The studies highlighted growing community concern about litter and its impact on Springfield's appearance and environmental health. Trash and litter along our major corridors impact Springfield's image, quality of place, and overall environmental health, Aaron Kemper, Director of Environmental Services, said in the announcement. This initiative takes a comprehensive approach to address those impacts head-on. The initiative will expand the city's integrated solid waste management system, which was approved by voters in 1991, to include dedicated litter removal. The system already supports community recycling, household hazardous waste collection, public education, and yard waste recycling. A $3 waste impact fee, phased in over 3 years, will be assessed per ton of waste delivered to the Noble Hill Sanitary Landfill. The fee will be implemented alongside regular tipping fee adjustments. Even with the increase, Springfield's landfill disposal rates will remain well below the regional average, according to the announcement. Under very conservative assumptions, the impact to a typical residential customer would be less than 50 cents per month. This cost reflects the city's effort to maintain affordability while enhancing litter control and community appearance. The fee is expected to generate about $1.2 million annually to fund year-round litter removal operations. The funds will be used for city crews dedicated to daily litter collection along major entry points and vendor partnerships to perform large-scale and routine corridor cleaning, supporting local jobs and nonprofit organizations. The Waste Impact Initiative will complement existing commitments from partnerships such as MoDOT, Greene County, Public Works, Adopt a Street and Adopt a Stream volunteers, and Clean Green Springfield programming. This initiative fills a critical gap by ensuring consistent, scalable litter cleanup across our city's most visible corridors, Kemper said in the announcement. It's an investment in our community pride and environmental quality. Environmental Services plans to implement the program through a phased approach. Progress will be reported annually to the City Council through key performance indicators, including lane miles serviced, trash removed, and total revenue generated, according to the announcement. To learn more about Springfield's integrated solid waste management system, visit springfieldmo.gov/trash and recycling.
A student is suing Carl Junction schools for not addressing stalking reports. A couple of key points. A former student is suing a Missouri school district alleging it failed to stop years of stalking by a teacher. The teacher, Carl Smith, faces criminal charges for stalking and possessing child pornography found on school laptops. The lawsuit claims school administrators dismissed the student and her mother's concerns about the teacher's behavior. As a Missouri music teacher awaits trials on charges of stalking and child pornography, the student he allegedly followed for years has filed a lawsuit against the Carl Junction School District for failing to address her concerns. In January 2025, Carl Smith, a choir teacher at Carl Junction, was charged with first-degree stalking of a student starting in September of 2018. According to the allegations, Smith for several years gave the student gifts, arranged for her to have lunch in his office, and sent her inappropriate letters and texts unrelated to school activities. While investigating the stalking claims, Carl Junction Police Department searched Smith's school-issued laptops and allegedly found more than 600 images of child sexual abuse material downloaded onto the computers, resulting in an additional charge of child pornography. There's no indication the images depicted the girl he was allegedly stalking or other Carl Junction students. Now a lawsuit filed by the student claims the school district and its administrators failed to adequately address the reports of stalking. The student, although now an adult, is identified as Jane Doe with initials OA in the lawsuit as the victim of sexual harassment experienced while a minor. Smith is also among the named defendants. The next headline reads, teacher allegedly sent letters, texts, made unwelcome visits. Smith first contacted the student in elementary school while teaching as the choir teacher and providing trumpet lessons. When she moved on to middle school, Smith too transferred to teach there, according to both the lawsuit and the probable cause statement filed for his criminal charge. Although he attempted to transfer to the high school as the student was starting her freshman year, he ultimately remained teaching at the junior high school. The petition filed in Jasper County Circuit Court includes a text of several letters and texts Smith sent the students begging for her to respond. Even after the student blocked Smith's number and social media, the probable cause statement in the criminal case said he still found ways to contact her. The lawsuit also recounts instances in which Smith showed up in person, such as during the student's band rehearsal and at the mall food court where the student was meeting with friends well into 2024. Among the allegations in the lawsuit is a suggestion that Smith used his son's phone to try to get in touch with the victim and ask who she was dating. The lawsuit also claims she was hesitant to post information about her boyfriend on social media because Smith had contacted her previous boyfriends. According to the lawsuit, the student's mother sought meetings with Assistant Superintendent Kyle Williams, who served as the principal of the high school, and the high school's assistant principal, Nicole Keller, regarding Smith's behavior. Both allegedly refused to discuss the concerns or review Smith's written communications as he was a middle school teacher. The mother of one of the student's friends took concerns to the middle school principal and the police soon thereafter. The lawsuit claims the ongoing harassment by Smith was distressing and denied the student equal access to public education. The report to law enforcement also resulted in a child welfare investigation. According to the petition, the Missouri Department of Social Services issued a determination finding emotional abuse and harassment by Smith. According to previous News-Leader reporting, the district began the process to fire Smith once investigators shared the contents of the text messages, but he resigned before the process concluded. He was last at the school in August 2024, though according to the lawsuit, he continued to harass a student after this. In a student released by the district last year, the district said it was notified August 30th that Smith had been accused of stalking a student who attended the high school. In that statement, the district emphasized that the safety and security of the children continues to be, quote, its utmost priority. The district could not comment further on the newly filed litigation. The lawsuit claims the school district violated the Missouri Human Rights Act by discriminating against a student's sex by failing to respond to the sexual harassment reported. It also includes claims of negligence against both of the administrators, Smith and the district at large, for not following the district's own policies, which included the administrator's mandatory duty to report any knowledge of possible violations to the district. The lawsuit seeks undisclosed amount of compensatory damages. Smith is scheduled to stand jury trial on his criminal charges in April. He was released on bond in both charges.
And MSU is hosting some cultural events in advance of China's biggest holiday. Joe Hadsall with the Springfield Daily Citizen says that as Missouri State University works to maintain its support for its Chinese students, it will host an annual celebration of a key holiday. MSU announced a lineup of events held on Thursday and Friday in the connection with the Lunar New Year, which will begin on February 17th. The events include dances and performances, as well as demonstrations of cultural touchstones such as tea, dumplings, mahjong, and tai chi. Tied to a lunar calendar, the holiday is considered the most important in several East Asian countries. In China, the holiday celebrates renewal and tradition. Many people return to their homes for family reunions. That is difficult for Chinese students living on Missouri State's campus, said Yi Wu, a marketing and recruitment specialist for the university. At the fall semester, 118 Chinese students were registered for classes on the Springfield campus. The celebration is more than a series of fun activities. It connects cultures and fosters understanding on campus and beyond, she said in a press release. While our Chinese students are unable to return home to celebrate with their families, they can celebrate here with their Bear family. The university has had a long relationship with Liaoning Normal University since 2000. As part of the partnership, students can attend classes and earn degrees on the University of Springfield campus as part of a cultural exchange. Maintaining the relationship has become difficult with strained relationships between the U.S. and China. The White House's immigration crackdown has been wide-reaching, causing delays in applications for student visas and the fear of deportation or being barred from returning to the U.S. The Chinese zodiac is comprised of 12 animals, and each year corresponds to one of them. 2026 is the year of the horse. This year's events give students and other campus community members the chance to learn about Chinese heritage and traditions. All of the university's events for the Lunar New Year will be held on the 4th floor of Pummel Hall. The events are free and open to the public. Events set for Thursday include a Chinese tea culture showcase from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., a dragon and lion dance at 9:30 a.m. This involves a team of performers controlling a large creature in rhythmic movements. A guzheng performance at 10 a.m. A guzheng is a plucked zither tuned to a major pentatonic scale. A chorus performance at 11 a.m. A hands-on dumpling workshop at 11:30 a.m. Blue and white porcelain, an instrumental ensemble performance at 2 p.m. A Tai Chi demonstration at 2:30 p.m. Phoenix Tail Bamboo Under the Moonlight at 3 p.m. This performance features hulusi, a free reed instrument. A traditional dance at 3:30 p.m. The dance will feature the Handan Zubu, a parable about learning to walk. Friday's events will be held from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and include a painting exhibition, rhythmic storytelling, mahjong, and tea culture.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, sports news, Missouri State football welcomes another Ozarks talent in Marionville star Cash Pomeroy. And we see a picture of Cash leaping over a defender on a game last October. Marionville running back. Shortly after Casey Woods was named Missouri State head football coach following the December departure of Ryan Beard to Coastal Carolina, the Bears' locally sourced players started announcing their plans on social media platforms. They opted to stay home and continue to build on the momentum of a bowl season in the program's first year as a football bowl subdivision member. Woods, SMU's offensive coordinator the 4 previous seasons and a one-time recruiting coordinator at Mizzou, made his MSU recruiting intentions clear in his January 5th introductory press conference. If there's an FBS-level football player in the state, they're likely going to hear MSU's recruiting pitch. Building these local relationships will be key. We're going to enter all 419 high schools that play football in the state of Missouri in the next calendar year, he said. MSU got a local recruiting win in the transfer portal this offseason when former Glendale Star defensive end Kellen Lindstrom opted to return to Springfield after 2 years with the Tennessee Volunteers. Woods signed 25 transfers in the portal and inherited most of the early high school signing day class from December, which occurred with Beard on staff. On Thursday, the day after February signing day, Marionville Star senior running back and linebacker Cash Pomeroy announced his commitment to Missouri State as a preferred walk-on. He'll have one of the team's 105 roster spots. Several former local high school standouts have come to MSU as preferred walk-ons before earning scholarships and significant playing time, including current safety J.J. O'Neill from Logan-Rogersville and running back Ramon Green of Nixa. Quote, "Ever since I was a little kid, this place has been somewhere I thought I wanted to be," Pomeroy told the Daily Citizen. "On my visits, I love the campus more than any of the other campuses I've seen. I wanted to challenge myself and believe I can compete at the FBS level." Pomeroy rushed for over 4,000 yards and 62 touchdowns in his career and was equally as menacing on the defensive side of the football at the Missouri Class I level. Marionville was a force during his 4 years, going a combined 46-4, including a 2023 state championship. Pomeroy, who had offers from SEMO and Evangel, has weightlifting marks that also likely caught recruiters' attention, including a 400-pound bench press, a 640-pound squat, and a 620-pound deadlift. The 3-time All-State Talent and Southwest Conference Player of the Year was recruited as an athlete. Missouri State assistant coach Brett Kulka said they are going to try me out in a couple of positions and see where I'm the most dominant, Pomeroy said. Southwest Missouri natives from MSU's 2025 roster who've announced their return to the program on social media include O'Neill, Green fullback Connor Lair of West Plains, tight end James Rexroad of Republic, punter Stuart McDonald from Logan-Rogersville, defensive end Caden Weist of Reed Spring, and linebacker Cooper Roy of Glendale.
So, when is Lent? Ahmad Jawadi with Springfield News-Leader tells us about dates for Easter, Fat Tuesday, Ash Wednesday, and more. Although Valentine's Day is the holiday most associated with February, the month also marks the beginning of the Lenten season in 2026. Unlike other annual holidays, Easter and the Lenten season dates change every year. Easter Sunday can land as early as March 22nd or as late as April 25th, meaning that Fat Tuesday, Ash Wednesday, and the beginning of Lent also change. Here's what to know about Easter, Fat Tuesday, Ash Wednesday, Lent, Holy Week, Good Friday, and when they all happen this year. So when is Fat Tuesday? Fat Tuesday will be on Tuesday, February 17th, 2026. That is next Tuesday. Fat Tuesday, also known as Mardi Gras, is a festive day of gluttonous indulgence, reflecting the tradition of the last night of eating rich, fatty foods ahead of the beginning of Lent. Ash Wednesday will be the following day, on Wednesday, February 18th. Ash Wednesday marks the first day of Lent and is considered a day of repentance, marked by ashes being placed on a worshiper's forehead in the shape of a cross by a priest, pastor, or minister during church services. It's also a day of fasting and abstinence for Catholics. Lent begins on Wednesday, February 18th, and runs until Thursday, April 2nd, 2026. Lent is the religious period of fasting and repentance for Christians. During this time of penance, charity, and fasting, people abstain from some of the things they enjoy, like chocolate or alcohol. It's also common practice for Catholics to abstain from eating meat on Fridays during the 40-day season. Good Friday will be on April 3rd, 2026. Good Friday is a holy day for Christians that commemorates the crucifixion of Jesus Christ and his death at Calvary. It is observed with prayer, fasting, and reflection. And finally, Easter Sunday will be on April 5th, 2026. Easter is the holiest day in the Christian calendar, commemorating the resurrection of Jesus Christ 3 days after his death on Good Friday. The day is celebrated with church services such as Easter Sunday Mass, as well as family gatherings. Many also celebrate the holiday with Easter egg decorating and hunts, baskets filled with candy and small gifts, parades, and festivals.
Thai Express owner files for bankruptcy after a string of lawsuits. This is from the Springfield Daily Citizen, an article written by Ryan Collins. And when reached by email yesterday, owner Net declined to comment on the bankruptcy filing, but said it will not affect the restaurant operations. And we see a picture of the Thai Express over on West Republic Road here in Springfield. The owner of Thai Express, Patrick Net, has filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. He filed in the U.S. Bankruptcy Court for the Western District of Missouri on February 6th of this year. In the filing, Net estimated he had up to 49 creditors, up to $50,000 in assets, and $500,000 to $1 million in liabilities, according to the filing. When reached by email, as we just mentioned, Net declined to comment on the bankruptcy filing, but said it will not affect restaurant operations. The owner said he does not plan on closing Thai Express, located at 2113 West Republic Road. Net's bankruptcy filing lists 17 creditors, including Springfield Grocery Company, Chad and Julie Schumann, LVNV Funding, and J&L Investments. These 4 creditors had previously filed lawsuits against Net and his companies. In August of 2025, Simply Thai, sister business of Thai Express, closed. In May of 2025, the now closed Schumann Meat Company and its owners filed suit against Patrick Net and his various businesses, including Net Restaurant Group, Thai Express, and Net Meat Company. The ongoing suit alleges Net embezzled funds as part of a buyout of the Springfield Meat Company. Chapter 7 bankruptcy provides for liquidation, allowing the sale of the debtor's non-exempt property in order to distribute the proceeds to creditors, according to the United States Court. And we've all been wanting to know about the mermaid performances coming up at the World Wonders of Wildlife. And families can visit the Wonders of Wildlife and watch mermaids performing underwater. We see a picture of a mermaid, which looks like part of a pirate ship or something from a previous performance. Coming up in March, Wands and Wishes Mermaids will begin performances at Johnny Morris's Wonders of Wildlife National Museum and Aquarium. Touring group appears at Association of Zoos and Aquariums, accredited nationwide. And at Wonders of Wildlife, guests, you can enjoy underwater performances, meet and greet opportunities, complimentary crafts and activities, all included with general admission and memberships. How the mermaids are trained for performances at the Wonders of Wildlife. They're professionally selected performers with extensive credentials already in place. Each mermaid holds scuba and level 1 free diving certifications before joining the touring team, which allows them to safely perform in large-scale aquarium environments like Wonders of Wildlife, and training continues throughout their careers, emphasizing safety, consistency, and visual storytelling. And what it takes to become a Wands and Wishes mermaid. Ongoing instruction guided by experts connected to major aquarium institutions across the country, ensuring performers meet demanding standards. Quote, it's very similar to ballet. The training involved, and to make it look really seamless and beautiful, says Carolyn Kaufman, founder of Wands and Wishes. Key requirements include the scuba and level 1 free diving certifications, safety and performance training linked to aquariums such as Georgia Aquarium, Shedd Aquarium, Marine, specialized underwater equipment that's updated and serviced annually. And when to see the mermaids at the Wonders of Wildlife. March 12th through the 15th, 18th through the 22nd, and 27th through the 29th. And they'll also have an exclusive members-only night March 11th, when Wonders of Wildlife members and their families have the opportunity to meet the mermaids in person before the public performances. And if you wondered what a Mermaids Performance Day is like, it begins long before guests gather near the exhibit glass. Travel often involves transporting those silicone mermaid tails weighing around 30 pounds. Once on site, preparation shifts underwater. Mermaids perform without scuba tanks or masks, relying on freediving techniques and access to a compressed air tube placed inside the exhibit. Before entering the water, performers confirm their air access and review safety protocols. Maintaining composure underwater requires physical and mental control. Performers use free-diving breath techniques and brief access to compressed air between breath hold segments. Even without seeing individual audience members' faces, mermaids rely on expressive movement and body language to communicate through the glass. And beyond spectacle, the performances carry a meaningful message centered on conservation and inspiration. Gentle ocean awareness themes encourage guests to think differently about marine ecosystems and their role in protecting them. Performers especially value inspiring children, showing them that challenging goals are achievable. The performances emphasize care for the ocean and its wildlife, encouraging guests to carry that sense of responsibility beyond the aquarium. Quote, "We really focus on ocean conservation," Kaufman says. "Hopefully, we're inspiring them to take some extra care and create a little more love for the ocean and the animals that are in it."
Mermaid is a career path I never considered. I may have missed my calling. A judge gives multiple life sentences to the first of 5 suspects in the 2023 fatal drive-by shooting. Coming to us from Jackie Rewald at the Springfield Daily Citizen. Following the jury's recommendation, a Greene County judge sentenced 22-year-old Alicia Bedell to multiple life sentences for the 2023 drive-by shooting that killed 26-year-old Chavez Nguyen and seriously injured Nguyen's pregnant girlfriend, Haley Frillman. Bedell's week-long trial in December of 2025 was the first of the 5 co-defendants who investigators believe participated in the deadly shooting on November 14, 2023 in downtown Springfield. The jury of 6 men and 6 women found Bedell guilty of first-degree murder for killing Nguyen, first-degree assault for shooting and seriously injuring Frillman, 2 counts of unlawful use of a weapon for shooting out of the vehicle, and 3 counts of armed criminal action. That same jury recommended Bedell serve multiple life sentences in prison to be served consecutively. Judge Todd Myers followed the jury's wishes and formally sentenced Bedell on Monday, February 9th. Your Honor, this case is not about a single impulsive act, Assistant Greene County Prosecutor Connor Brown said in arguing for the maximum sentence allowed. It is about a sustained course of conduct, deliberate, targeted, and devastating. It ended one life, nearly ended 2 others, and permanently altered a family before they had the chance to begin. Nguyen and Frillman were headed to a restaurant that evening to have dinner when they noticed a dark sedan with multiple occupants following Frillman's car closely and then driving alongside at the same speed. As Frillman's car approached the intersection of College Street and Campbell Avenue, the dark sedan pulled up beside Frillman's car and the occupants began shooting. During the trial, prosecutors presented evidence that showed there were likely 5 different firearms used by the 5 suspects, including Bedell, who prosecutors say was shooting the assault rifle pistol ARP. Chavez Nguyen was struck at least 6 times. Bullets went through his leg, his back, punctured his lung, liver, and kidney, Brown said at Monday's hearing. Those wounds were not survivable. He died there in that passenger seat next to the woman he loved. Ms. Frillman survived, but survival does not mean escape. She was shot in the hand, the leg, and the head. At the time, she was 29 weeks pregnant with their child. That child survived, and though that is a blessing, it does not lessen the gravity that the child will grow up knowing that before he even took his first breath, someone made the choice that killed his father and nearly killed his mother. James Fleming spoke on behalf of Nguyen's mother and stepfather at Monday's hearing. He described Nguyen as a hard-working, beautiful soul. He was a funny, energetic person everyone loved, Fleming said. We all miss Chavez so much. Frillman's injuries caused her to have a high-risk pregnancy, and she was in a wheelchair for months. She, along with her mother and father, gave victim impact statements on Monday. She told the judge she wished she could fully explain the impact of losing Chavez has had on us, but that she worried she would only get a few words out before my voice would be silenced by my tears. And the defendant doesn't deserve to see me break, Frillman said. He doesn't deserve to see me relive the moment through words as I talk about how depressing life's become after he took the life of my best friend. She described Nguyen as a hardworking, honest, loyal, dependable, and honorable man. The defendant has robbed me of my entire world. Chavez was my entire life, Frillman said. He robbed 2 little boys of their father. He robbed parents of their firstborn son. He robbed 4 siblings of their oldest brother. Frillman created a 5-minute video comprised of photos and clips of Nguyen with his friends and family over the years to be played at Monday's sentencing hearing. She said she wanted Bedell to see what a man truly looks like, show what it means to be brave and heroic, to show what real strength looks like, to show the clear difference between Chavez and the offendant. Before it played, Frillman told the judge to take note of how Nguyen spent his time and energy, and how much he enjoyed being a father, and how excited he was to have another on the way, how his son looked up to him, how hardworking he is, how much of a family man he is. It's important to acknowledge these things to understand Chavez and his killers have nothing in common, Frillman said, adding that she and Nguyen did not know Bedell or the co-defendants. The defendant chose evil, to hide behind guns, drugs, and alcohol. The defendant chose violence and the gangster lifestyle, and his actions took an innocent man's life for no reason. About 30 shell casings were presented as crime scene evidence during the trial. Part of the evidence included a security video from nearby with audio that showed all of those bullets were fired into Frillman's car in about 2 seconds. The other 4 co-defendants suspected of opening fire on Frillman's vehicle that night are Timothy Hester, Cesar Balanos, Cortez Washington, and Arshawn Bradley. They face the same charges as Bedell and remain in the Greene County Jail awaiting trials. None of those co-defendants testified at Bedell's trial. Bedell waived his right to testify. Frillman and Nguyen's families have always maintained that Nguyen did not know the 5 defendants, and it must have been a case of mistaken identity. No information was presented during the trial to indicate Bedell knew Nguyen. Brown reminded the judge that evidence showed how Bedell and the co-defendants did not stumble onto the couple. The defendant and his cohorts followed the victims, Brown said. Armed to the teeth, the defendant stalked him. Following is a photo of the car riddled with bullet holes. Brown also reminded the judge of evidence presented at trial that showed what Bedell was doing in the minutes after the shooting, that Bedell made a video of himself rapping about murder and violence while Nguyen's body was still laying on the ground waiting for the medical examiner. The defendant's conduct created multiple victims and caused multiple permanent losses, Brown said. The state is not asking the court to sentence out of anger or emotion. We are asking for a sentence that reflects the seriousness of the crime, honors the lives of those affected, and protects the community from someone who demonstrated an absolute willingness to use lethal violence in a public space. Bedell's defense attorney, Jeffrey Wood, called the shootings a, quote, terrible tragedy and utterly senseless violence. No one denies that, Wood said. That being said, Mr. Bedell still maintains his innocence.
Springfield is launching a fee to boost year-round litter cleanup, and this is from the Springfield News-Leader, an article by Janice Reeser. The Springfield City Council approved a new initiative to address litter along major roads by implementing a fee on waste delivered to the city landfill. The Clean Green Waste Impact Initiative was approved February 2nd and is designed to fund year-round litter removal, according to a community announcement. The initiative is based on findings from the city's landfill waste characterization study and Citizen Solid Waste Satisfaction Survey, both completed in 2025. The studies highlighted growing community concern about litter and its impact on Springfield's appearance and environmental health. Trash and litter along our major corridors impacts Springfield's image, quality of place, and overall environmental health, Aaron Kemper, Director of Environmental Services, said in the announcement, quote, this initiative takes a comprehensive approach to address those impacts head on. Well, how the program will work, the next headline reads, the initiative will expand the city's integrated solid waste management system, which was approved by voters back in 1991 to include dedicated litter removal. The system already supports community recycling, household hazardous waste collection, public education, and yard waste recycling. A $3 waste impact fee, phased in over 3 years, will be assessed per ton of waste delivered to the Noble Hill Sanitary Landfill. The fee will be implemented alongside regular tipping fee adjustments. Even with the increase, Springfield's landfill disposal rates will remain well below the regional average, according to the announcement. Under very conservative assumptions, the impact to a typical residential customer would be less than 50 cents per month. This cost reflects the city's effort to maintain affordability while enhancing litter control and community appearance. The fee is expected to generate about $1.2 million annually to fund year-round litter removal operations. The funds will be used for city crews dedicated to daily litter collection along major entry points and vendor partnerships to perform large-scale and routine corridor cleaning, supporting local jobs and nonprofit organizations. How it will be implemented is the next headline. The Waste Impact Initiative will complement existing commitments from partners such as MoDOT, Greene County, Public Works, Adopt a Street, and Adopt a Stream volunteers, and Clean Green Springfield programming. Quote, this initiative fills a critical gap by ensuring consistent, scalable litter cleanup across our city's most visible corridors, Kemper said in the announcement. It's an investment in our community, pride, and environmental quality. Environmental Services plans to implement the program through a phased approach. Progress will be reported annually to the City Council through key performance indicators, including lane miles serviced, trash removed, and total revenue generated, according to the announcement. If you'd like to learn more about Springfield's integrated solid waste management system, just head to springfieldmo.gov/trash and recycling.
And ARC of the Ozarks aligns leadership with national nonprofit norms. Janice Reeser with the Springfield News-Leader says that the ARC of the Ozarks has updated its leadership titles, aligning them with national nonprofit standards. The organization, which supports individuals with disabilities, has transitioned 3 executive positions, according to a community announcement. Tim Digan, previously Executive Vice President, is now the Chief Operating Officer. John Everest, formerly Senior Vice President of Finance, has been named Chief Financial Officer. Mary Beth Kleinsasser, who was Vice President of Human Resources, is now the Chief Human Resources Officer. The changes reflect the organization's growth and the increasing complexity of its operations, according to the announcement. The title changes are intended to align with national nonprofit leadership standards and reflect the strategic responsibilities of each executive leader, according to the announcement. Our organization has grown significantly in both size and impact, Mike Powers, President and CEO of the ARC of the Ozarks, said in the announcement. These title changes reflect the depth of leadership required to sustain and strengthen our mission of supporting individuals with disabilities and directing their own lives as valued members of the community. The ARC of the Ozarks has been providing disability services for nearly 60 years at areas including Springfield, Monette, Joplin, Kansas City, and St. Charles. The organization is committed to operational excellence and long-term sustainability as it continues to expand its programs and services, according to the announcement. For more information about the ARC of the Ozarks and its programs, visit thearcoftheozarks.org.
Students explore leadership skills at Youth Empowerment Project event. High school students from Springfield and 5 rural schools attended the Project Conference 2026 on February 4th. The event, presented by the Community Foundation of the Ozarks, brought together about 90 students at Drury University's Finley Student Center Ballroom, according to a community announcement. Springfield Public School Superintendent Grenita Latham delivered the keynote address, encouraging students to find moments to practice empathetic leadership. According to the announcement, Latham said, "Your voice doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful, and it doesn't have to be loud to be heard. Leadership is how you treat people when no one is watching." And what follows is a picture of Ms. Latham talking to the attendees of the project conference. Students toured Drury's campus, participated in presentations and a panel discussion about community impact and leadership lessons they learned through their experiences with YEP. The students were from Springfield, Gainesville, and Aurora. Nia Howard and Bailey Pyle of Centerstone led the final session called, quote, Be Well, focusing on brain health and healthy practices for dealing with the unique stressors of adolescent life. And according to the announcement, the YEP program teaches high school and middle school students the tenets of philanthropy through grant-making, volunteering, education, and fundraising. The program currently engages students in 10 regional chapters and 1 for Springfield high schools. The Community Foundation of the Ozarks is the region's largest public charitable foundation, serving donors, nonprofit partners, and 55 regional affiliate foundations, with over $500 million in assets under management as of June 2025. Its mission to improve the quality of life for everyone in central and southern Missouri. And boy, this went quickly. We'd like to thank you so much for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service today, and hope you'll tune in every week, Monday through Friday, on the Blind Community Thrift Store's YouTube channel at 10 a.m. for more up-to-date news from the Springfield News-Leader, Springfield Daily Citizen, Springfield Business Journal, and 417 Magazine. And listen after we're live on the Audio Reader Network at www.reader.ku.edu. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio. And please be sure to visit us here at the thrift store, 50% off clothing on Wednesdays.
The time is 12 p.m.